Diving right in on a Friday Maize and Blue review. Good afternoon, Michigan football and basketball. And we've got news on both sides of the equation. Football, some recruiting stuff. And with basketball, you got the big game coming up over the weekend for the first place Wolverines. So we'll get to Michigan heading down to Columbus to play the first of 7 of their final games in the regular season in the Big Ten. Sunday at 1. We'll start with a little bit of recruiting. And for those of you that like recruiting and like Michigan, well, the place to follow it is the feed that you're on right now. And the feed that you're on right now likes to tell you that we are brought to you by Rivals.com and the Maize and Blue Review. And we are committed to following recruiting every step of the way, giving you that factual and entertaining news about what's going on with Sharon Moore and company as they look to bring in their next class of Wolverines. You follow it on a day-to-day basis by going to michigan.rivals.com, and you get instant access, and that is the way to go, and that is the place to be. I'd like to see you over there. Now, Michigan's got 2 verbal commitments for next year right now, pair of 4 stars, one from Texas and one from Florida. Jalen Pyle, a wide receiver, and Brody Jennings, who is a defensive back. And so 2 right now for Michigan. And if you've been following me, I have told you that I have put together a wish list, and it's grown. It grows and grows and grows. And you know, right now it's kind of a small wish list, but at the very top of this wish list is a local wide receiver named CJ Sadler. And Sadler's name is there for a couple of reasons. 1, he's in state. 2, he's a wide receiver. And 3, Michigan's really looking for a premier, highly rated wide receiver. Now, the guys that they have on the team right now, maybe one of them emerges and say, man, that guy should have been a 5-star. What are we thinking about? Or one of their transfers that are coming in. They have 2 of them right now. Maybe one of those guys will be the stars that we're talking about. You know, they've got Anthony Simpson and they've got Donovan McCulley. Maybe one of those 2, I'll say, man, Michigan did a fantastic job in the transfer portal with a wide receiver. They got Bryce Underwood, whoever will be the quarterback next year. Now this outstanding pass catcher. Maybe Michigan in the final phase, in the spring phase, in that transfer portal window, that they'll go out and they'll find another highly touted wide receiver, transfer wide receiver. Maybe. So there's a lot of maybes there, but this is one where the area where you go to, or you say, this makes a lot of sense. In-state, highly touted. This guy is close to being a 5-star as it comes down to with the ratings and the projections and, how you look at it. He's in the 6.0 there. I'm pretty close, again, to just being right on the outside looking in as a 5-star. So he's number 1 on my list, and he has been there. Also in state is the top offensive lineman in the state of Michigan. Last year, Michigan got Avery Gatch, and this year they're wanting Gregory Patrick, who is out of northern Portage, Michigan, over on the west side. I've got a picture of Sharon Moore. Now, Sharon Moore's not a small guy, and he's standing next to Patrick and what I would assume to be Patrick's mom. But Patrick looks bigger than 6'5", standing over there next to Sharon Moore, 275-pound tackle, and he is also on the Michigan target list. Put that name down on your list. Now, Savion Hitter, Heiter. The news about Heiter is that he has his Michigan visit locked down in mid-June. And sure enough, Ohio State and Penn State, and Tennessee and Virginia Tech are in there, but this is Michigan's running back to lose. Heiter. They're in on him. They like him. They got the visit. It just seems like this one's going to play out. He's up at the top of the list. Now, the next running back and the next guy on this list, there's been a development recently, like in the last 24 hours, and I'm talking about a running back out of Texas named Javion Osborne. Osborne from Forney, Texas. Now, Osborne likes Michigan. He's interested in Michigan. He is also very interested in Texas. And if you had to make just a list as we sit here, Valentine's Day, and I forgot about it being Valentine's Day till just now, you would put Texas probably has a heart next to it, down there in his home state. The development has to do with the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions have hired Tashard Choice as their new running backs coach, and Tashard Choice was the running backs coach down there in Texas. So you know how those things work. It doesn't mean like, oh yeah, Michigan's in the driver's seat, slam dunk. But it also at least gives you, I don't know if it's a crack in the door or whatever you want, a foot in the door, where you could say, hey, our relationship now is stronger with J.O. And, Osborne, hey, what about all the relationships that we have had and what's going on here? So, maybe this helps Michigan. Michigan's already in a good spot, just not in the perfect spot. And this may have helped close the gap if you're keeping an eye on these things. And you are keeping an eye on these things because you're a big Michigan fan. And right now the news is, we're waiting for the spring game, which there's been a develop on as well since we last spoke on Wednesday. On Wednesday, I went over why I believe this is going to be the most highly anticipated Michigan spring game ever. And it has to do with the quarterback position from last year, the quarterback position from this year, all of the players that are in for spring. I went down and listed all of them, and then the transfer portal and the guys that'll be in as well. It'd be like when you go to one of those work parties and everybody's got a name tag on, you're going to need that name tag and know like, hey, who's this guy at the Michigan spring game? But they have announced, they being Michigan, that their spring game is officially set and locked in for April the 19th. April the 19th for the Michigan spring game at noon. So save that date and clear your schedule, and we'll see you down at the Big House. And if you're not going to, if you are going, should say, to the Big House, let's get something going. Either at the Big House or in and around Ann Arbor. That's what I'm thinking about as I think about April 19th. Where you at? February, March, April. 2 months away from the most anticipated Michigan football spring game ever. That's a little bit of a run up. We've got some time. Happy Friday to you, Andres. You should probably be watching some golf this weekend. I know the Waste Management was last weekend. I'm not sure what's going on this weekend, but he'll probably be tuned in. Well, we've got other players on this recruiting list, 2 quarterbacks and a corner from New Jersey, Jordan Thomas. He was in recently, making the rounds at Michigan. And then I mentioned Brady Smigel, who's a 5-star quarterback, and Ryder Lyons, who's a 5-star quarterback. And it was pointed out, Michigan shouldn't be messing around too much with the 5 stars, considering they've got Bryce Underwood. I mean, what are these guys doing? How much money is it going to cost? Is it really the best allocation of money? And that's why I put the asterisk next to these quarterbacks in Smigel. But Lions is an interesting QB. He is in the 26 class. He is a 5-star. He is from California, and he does have a heavy list of teams that he's interested in, including Michigan, maybe Ohio State, but USC, Oregon, BYU, and Ole Miss. So you get 5 stars. These guys are all going to be tough to beat. They're all going to be, it costs a lot of money and all those things. But one thing about Lions is he's going on a mission with his church or however that goes for a year. So he's not coming in next year. It might as well say 27, even though it says 26 up here. He's not coming in until 27. And I was reading a quote from Lions about Michigan who said, yeah, they pointed out that they've got Underwood, who's going to play this year. And these were Lions words that he could possibly be gone after his junior season, heading to the pros. And then he said, I could come in 27 and learn a year from Bryce Underwood. And so he sees the path, and he has the interest in Michigan, and he likes how the quarterback room is set up in Ann Arbor. So he's a name to jot down and keep in mind. Hot shot, 5-star quarterback out of California, Lions, who's going on a mission and likes how the quarterback room is set up for U of M. So, Smigel's coming in next year. That's why that asterisk, maybe there should be 2 asterisks next to the quarterback, also from California as well. So that's where it sits with recruiting. Although I have a picture of somebody else on here. What's this going on? Oh, that's Lions. Sorry. I look like a running back for a second that I was talking about. All right, that's football. Now, if you have any questions or points that you wanted to make about football that you feel like would add to the conversation, you can always jump in and leave that message during this show, during the live show. I'll answer it. I'll dive into it, and I'll probably have the answer for you. It could be from recruiting or personnel through anything. It'll probably be a tough question. I ask, hey, go ahead and fire away. And then, I'll see how I do. But, I'll try. That's what I can say to you. Now over to basketball. It's a transition for the Michigan football fan. The Michigan football fan is about Michigan football 24 hours a day, all night, all year round. It's always about Michigan football. It's always about recruiting. It's always about who's coming in, who they're going to get, what's going on with the coaching staff, what's going on with the upcoming season, what's going on with the opponents, anything that you can, what's going on with college football, what's going on with the playoffs, how's Michigan fit in there, what's going on with Michigan's NIL, what's going on in the transfer portal with Michigan, what's up with their GM, how's it all playing out, what's going down, what's the latest with the notice of allegations, even for, football fans that are just submerged and have a force field around them. And inside that force field, it says Michigan football. And that's the focus. And I get it. I understand it. I feel like I am also inside that force field and liking to talk about Michigan football all day and all night, all year round. It's the team. And they bring plenty of news. And if somebody was just dropped in my backyard from another planet or something, and they're like, what team, what sport and what team should I follow? I would say Michigan. And it's a real easy sell. They're a blue blood in college football. Football, there's no argument. It's the best sport to watch, Mr. Alien. And Michigan right now is positioned to, you like to follow a winner. And, Michigan is positioned to be the best. So that is my advice from you. Even though you're right here in the state of Michigan, even though you've dropped right in the backyard, lucky you, of Southeast Michigan, they're the team really to follow because of the sport, and they have everything covered there. So then you get to, well, what about after that? Well, you've for me, I like the four major sports. I like football. Football is everything, but basketball and hockey, the winter sports, and then baseball. Those four. And I feel lucky in that in the state of Michigan, right here in Southeast Michigan, of all four professional teams. And even though it has been rough going for a lot of those teams, it really does seem like things are turning the corner for, I think, all of them. For the Lions I saw today, I might get this wrong, but it was close to this. They had 13 of their, I don't know if they called them their experts or people that follow football. It was something like that. But the headline is our team at ESPN predicts who's going to be in the Super Bowl next year. So I thought, all right, great. How many out of these 13 are going to pick the Lions to be in the Super Bowl next year? Because last year, I think everybody, I don't know about the ESPN guys, but I was picking the Lions to go to the Super Bowl. So was everybody and their brother. And then the Commanders game happened and people are totally down, couldn't even watch the playoffs, couldn't even bring themselves to turn on the Super Bowl. But now it's like, all right, you got to pick yourself up and get ready for the draft and get ready for free agency at least. And then the answer to that question is there were more than I thought. I think there were 4 of them that actually picked the Lions to go to the Super Bowl. So I thought, all right, that's good. I was thinking if none of them did, that'd be some kind of rallying cry like, dang, they're that down on the Lions. They weren't. Tigers had that incredible turnaround last year. They didn't get Bregman, which hurts. Bregman felt like, I don't know about putting them over the top, but it would have made them, if they weren't the favorite in the American League Central, it would have felt like they would have been right there with Bregman and his bat and what he would be able to provide to that lineup that made the postseason last year and was tangling with the Tribe, as you know, in the divisional round. But so, things are looking good for the Tigers, even though they didn't get Bregman. The Red Wings, since they moved on with their head coach, they look like they're going to be a playoff team. They better be a playoff team. They look like they're a playoff team. They better be a playoff team, and that's great. And then the Pistons, which have been so terrible for so long. Pistons are, I say about the Pistons, they're a lot of fun to watch. They're a lot of fun to watch, and they missed out on getting Wembanyama. They missed out on a couple other times when they were up there to get some number 1 picks, but it wasn't, I don't know, about a month ago. I was listening to some national podcast, and they were going on and on about the Rockets, the Houston Rockets. And I didn't really catch the guy's name that they were talking about, but they're like, this is the guy. This is the star. This guy's better than all of them. He's really got them in a position. So I'm like, well, who are they talking about? Green, that's who I thought they were going to talk about. But no, they were talking about Thompson. And the Pistons have his twin brother. They went back-to-back in the draft. And so they were talking so much about Amon, I believe it's from the Rockets, and just how he's taking over and how he's just so great defensively and passing, and he's the super athlete, and he can't even shoot. And I said, well, that sounds like a Sar who was coming along and had health issues, blood clot. But Asar Thompson is now playing like his brother. Every night over the last 4 or 5 games that I've tuned in, Asar Thompson makes a play or 2 or 3 or 4 that you're like, this guy's going to be a star. I mean, he, along with his brother, these are like the athletic ability of these guys is got to be wherever the percentile is. It's there. I don't know if there's anybody that's more athletic, pound for pound, than the Thompson twins. Not the band, but those two brothers. And you just go down the list. They're fun. They're Tobias Harris looks awesome. Right? Beasley was a great free agent pickup. I mean, that guy can fill it up. So they're a lot of fun. And then on the college side, we go to basketball. That was a long way for me to get to basketball. And the question now that Michigan is in first place, a lot of people have asked, can they stay there? Can they be dangerous? And my answer is I think that they can. And the reasons, I'm going to state a few of the reasons right now that I look at. You're always looking to a go-to player. Who's your star? Does Michigan have a star? Do they have a go-to player when they need a bucket in the last 3 minutes, the last 2 minutes, the last minute in a possession game? And the answer is yes. And they've got 3 of them. They've got a big 3 that they can go to. They've got Area 51 and Trey Donaldson. It wasn't so long ago in a game that Michigan was down 5 with 2 minutes to go, and Trey Donaldson drove the lane and made a sweet pass to Roddy Gale for a dunk. The next possession, Trey Donaldson came down and hit a jumper from the elbow. The next possession, Trey Donaldson came down and drained a 3 from up top. The next possession for Penn State, Trey grabbed a rebound and came down the floor and hit free throws to end up winning that game. That was a star performance by Trey Donaldson. He absolutely took over. He is the point guard and the leader for this team. You'd love to see him be able to play every minute out there. A huge part of this team and their success. He's been great, the transfer from Auburn. The other 2 is we all understand, Danny Wolf and Vlad Golden. And if it's the last possession, I don't know if you want to just throw it down on the post of Vlad Golden. Like, let's say you had 10 seconds to go. You might want to, though, if you've got the matchup and he's down there by himself. Yeah, go ahead and throw it down there to him. But in the last 5 minutes, 4 minutes, 3 minutes, 2 minutes, absolutely, Vlad Golden could be your number 1 option. A 7-1 guy who can dominate the opposition down low and can either score or get to the free throw line, and he's a good free throw shooter. So you like him. And then there's the Wolf of State Street, Danny Wolf, who's one of the big stories of college basketball, if not the story. The transfer from Yale, a positionless 5. A guy that at times when he shoots it sounds like an exaggeration anytime you use Larry Bird's name, but so you just have to know that I'm not calling him Larry Bird, and he doesn't exactly shoot over his shoulder like Larry Bird, but he is a big white guy, so maybe that's the part. But no, when the part that reminds me of Bird is that when Wolf shoots it, there's the trajectory of the ball. And when it hits the basket, sometimes people say, it's a real wet shot, like splashes through the net. Wolf, when his ball goes through the rim, it splashes to me, and it reminds me a little bit of Bird. The way that ball flies and the way it ends up hitting the hoop. Now, it would be interesting to see if I could look at all of Bird shots and then all of Wolf's and it just concentrated on the rim. Would that all really be true, or if it's a figment of my imagination? All that, but I don't think so. I think it's wet, splashes in there like Bird a little bit. But he's a fascinating player because he's so big. He can score from anywhere on the floor. He can put it on the floor. And drive to the lane. If he finishes better, I mean, his stock is going up, up, up so much that this week ESPN did a mock draft and Danny Wolf was there in the teens selected. So yeah, I mean, that's part of having a good team and a successful team is that guys are going to show up in mock drafts. And I say guys plural. I didn't see anybody else's name. I didn't see Danny Wolf's. And you might say Danny Wolf's not going to be a first round pick. Okay. I didn't make the mock draft. And look, Danny Wolf could come back to Michigan. Everyone on this Michigan team can come back next year if they want, with the exception of Reuben Jones, the transfer from North Texas, and with the exception of Vlad Golden. Only Golden and Jones can't come back. Everyone else can, including Danny Wolf. So it would be great as you sit here and say, man, you'd love to have Danny Wolf come back. But here's the rub in that, line of thinking. Sure, you'd want Danny Wolf coming back. If Danny Wolf plays like he has right now or better, and if you've watched these games, you can see that there's room for him to improve. He can finish better at the rim. He could make more free throws. He could get he could even shoot better and pass better, take care of the ball better from outside. He could lead this team to a regular season title, a conference title. He could lead this Michigan team to a deep run in the tournament. And if he does that, he likely is going to be a first round. I can see that being a first round pick. Whatever you're going to say, he needs another year. It doesn't matter if you're a friend. It doesn't matter about needing another year or anything else. Is there a world in which, he falls off a little bit and he falls off of those type of lists? Michigan still has a pretty good season and he comes back. Yeah, but, I don't like to think, I don't know. It's not that I don't like to think about it. It's not like you want, oh boy, I hope Danny Wolf kind of takes a step back and, Michigan really doesn't have that kind of, no, you want him to maximize his talents and you want the team to, have make a run at one of those three pieces that I just pointed out. Hopefully all three. Wouldn't that be great? Win the regular season, win the conference tournament, and then make a deep run. Make the Final Four. Awesome. And then, we lose Danny Wolf. I'd rather if it had just been one and done, not win any of those. And, hey, we got Danny Wolf coming back. So, that part is out there. But, he is fascinating. And Michigan's got a big three. And there's a lot of Duke, Auburn, you go through. There's some incredible teams out there that I don't know. Michigan is not pound for pound in those teams' classes. However, when you go to Michigan's big three and Trey and Area 51, they can match up pretty much with everyone in the country. So it's going to be the rest of their guys. The rest of the guys that I look at, Namari Burnett and Cheddar, Will Cheddar. Burnett is a nice player and is a nice piece to have in a starting lineup at 6'4", pretty good athlete, pretty good shooter, can defend. He's just a nice fourth option. And if he's open, you want to see Namari Burnett shoot. I mean, that jumper looks pretty good, as we have seen now through 20 plus some odd games. I mean, he can fill it up. And so it's nice to have a dead eye shooter like Namari Burnett. I almost get my pen out and scorecard a three as soon as it goes to him and he's open, because I feel like it's going in. And I'll say the same thing about Cheddar. He is instant offense coming off the bench. He at 6'8", is just somebody that you'd like to see even shoot more. And in addition to Cheddar's scoring ability, he can help out down low in rebounding. He's a fiery competitor, and it's infectious. He's always on 100% blast out there, mixing it up, getting after it, urging his team. He's just he has those things that coaches talk about that you want all of your players to have, and you can't have all of them to have it. But Cheddar's got it. He's a ringleader. He's just he brings an intensity to the game. And so these two players, after Area 51, these are two players that you can win with, and you can achieve all of those great goals that I've talked about and that you talk about this time of year in a conference and then in the tournament. So that's 5 guys right there. If we're looking for some of the keys, we'll get to, they've got the freshman, who knows? And I put as the wild card the transfer from Alabama, Sam Walters, the lefty. Sure, he's shown some flashes, and he could get hot from downtown. I don't know if I'm sitting here telling you, oh yeah, Walters is going to be the difference in some of these games. Him coming off the bench with a hot hand at 6'10", maybe, but it's a wild card. The freshmen are close to being wild cards themselves. Justin Pippen, LJ Kayson. I think the fans want Kayson more than Pippen. Who knows about those two? You probably are going to have to rely on one of them and the wild card because of foul trouble, because of a lot of different things. But I put those guys in a separate category. And then this is why I think as you sit here right now heading into the weekend, this is the most encouraging part of Michigan basketball. So it wasn't these guys that have been leading the way the whole year and that are bona fide stars right now. Area 51, Trey Donaldson, these guys, this is a big 3. This is everything you want in college basketball. Oh, these next 2 pieces, Burnett and Cheddar, just think about, leave these guys open. These are the kind of players that can lead you in the tournament and win you some games, the kind of players that every teams have. And you know how important guard play is. Well, both of the Frosh are guards, and they're going to be counted on an outside shooting in a wild card. But then it comes down to Roddy and Ruben. And we have been talking about these guys all year long. And Roddy's shown up here and there, but he's also looked like that he has played the game a little bit too fast. And also that he'll make, for every really nice play that he'll make, he'll crash and burn on a play. I don't know how sustainable that is for a very good team, a team that wants to be very good and make a run and win a conference title or regular season title or tournament title or any of those things. Can you have a guy that makes 6 real nice plays, but then throws it away 6 times? No, you're going to need better than that. And then Ruben Jones hadn't really showed up at all this year, with the exception to last game when both of them showed up together. It wasn't Area 51. It wasn't the freshman. It wasn't the wild card. It was, Cheddar was there. He's always there. And it wasn't really Burnett. It was these two that everybody's been saying, well, you need to get Roddy or Ruben going. Boy, one of those two are going to be the keys. Well, both of them in the biggest spot of the season, Tuesday, both had their best games of the year. You can make a case for Roddy having a best game somewhere else, but he really kept him in it. He had a good game. Jones, for sure, made his presence felt. He's in the starting lineup for Roddy, but made the 2 huge plays. You could say 3 plays. The put-back dunk, he had a tie-up, possession arrow to Michigan, and then he took it the distance and scored a layup. Right at the right time. Yeah, are all of those things going to be able to come together for U of M? Well, they have right now. every game, it doesn't like, okay, well, all of them will come together at Ohio State. All of them will then just keep it going against Michigan State. It's going to go up and a little bit down, and then hopefully you are playing your best. This right around now, what are the selection committee? They look at the last 6. So there's 7 of the regular season. It's getting close to when you want to be playing your best basketball, to when you want to be gelling, so there's a lot of good signs for U of M. Roddy Gale going back to Ohio State this Sunday. Let's pick him to have a big game against the Buckeyes. But yeah, I don't know. Put a lot of much pressure on Roddy. It's a weird dynamic to begin with. I don't know. I don't remember any. I remember plenty of Michigan players defecting to Ohio State, but I didn't remember it in reverse. Gale's the one. In hockey maybe, but I'm trying in basketball. Here you go. You got one. So, yeah. Roddy's not in he hasn't been in the starting lineup. It'll be interesting to see. It's worked. It worked well last game, so they'll probably keep that dynamic. Or does Dusty bump him into the starting lineup, or does Dusty not put him out there because that the Buckeye Neanderthals will be getting after him. They're going to be getting after him anyway. So all of that. That's one of the pieces to keep an eye on it. Let's take a look at the feedback. Limited feedback. You got any questions? I know there's a little bit. It's not Michigan football doesn't have a game next week. The spring game's still 2 months away. We are in basketball season. We take football questions. We take any of your questions. Adam says Namari can come back. Yeah, it's interesting that Namari can, but he can still come back. He's got another year. I know Texas Tech, Alabama, Michigan, but he has got another year. Let's see. Antoine says, have I talked about the Big Ten and SEC trying to form their own league? Think the SEC got scared of all that Big Ten money floating around. Yeah, well, I this has been a story that has been out there, but no, specifically, I would guess that it's not going to happen with both of them forming their own league. I wouldn't want it like that either. So maybe that's part of it, why I don't talk about it like that. But if I could have my way, would I want the Big Ten and SEC to be in their own league and then everybody else have their own? No. That's a power play that it would be great for the SEC and Big Ten, but would it be great for college football? No. Would it be great for Michigan? Michigan's going to be fine any way it goes, but it's not great for Michigan either. And as much as I like that there's been rapid change in the expansion with the college football and, teams coming in and everything else, I'm not ready for this yet. So I'd be against that. And I don't think that it's going to happen. So, but I appreciate the question. Let's see. Ferris is looking at that Reuben thinking, that is looking pretty good. A nice Reuben. I don't know what you call this swirly bread, a little pumpernickel in there with rye, but it looks pretty good. I'd actually maybe want a little thicker bread, but that doesn't look bad. Sauerkraut is that Swiss cheese and then the corned beef in there, somewhere in there, maybe a little Russian dressing. Yeah. Go to a deli, go to Zingerman's has got one of these sandwiches probably for $45, but I'm not making fun of Zingerman's. I like Zingerman's. And I don't have to tell you that a sandwich is worth $45 or anything else, but every time I go, I feel like it's been worth it. I'm not going getting a $45 sandwich every day, but maybe I'm gonna hit my wife up after. She's working really hard. Say, you go to Zingerman's to get a Reuben for Valentine's. Is that a nice? Hey, you wanna head over for Valentine's Day to? I better ask her where she wants to go. And if she's like, I don't know, where do you want to go? How about Zingerman's? That's how I'm going to play it. We'll see how that goes. Coming up, see how that goes with it down here. Any more questions? Here's a fact by Smash the Numbers. His handle is Smash the Numbers, and he is smashing a number. 1,903 days since OSU beat Michigan in football. Also, Michigan beat OSU 36-0 in 1903. So not only do we have the number here, that's going to be nice over the next days because you'll have a lot of these games that you can reference in there. STN. So that's good. Adam says that Dusty said that Reuben and Roddy will dictate this team's ceiling. I'd agree. Actually, didn't he see him say that? Did he say that after this last game? But I tend to agree with that as well. I agree with that because I feel really good with Area 51 and Trey. I feel really good with Amari Burnett and Cheddar. I don't feel really good about Roddy and Reuben last game. Not included. So if you say you get all those other things and you get these two, and this is what you've been waiting for, and then you got it in the biggest game of the year. So that's it. Question from Ferris. Give me a probability that Dusty May stays at Michigan versus going to Indiana 60-40, 50-50. What do you got? If I had to guess, I think that it's 90-10 that Dusty is staying at Michigan. I think that it's too soon to go to Indiana. I think when he analyzes everything about what's the better basketball school, where he can win, where he's at right now, everything's going to come back Michigan. Everything's going to come back to Michigan. Indiana has one thing, and that is that's his hometown, and that's where he's from, and that's where his wife's from. And so for me to tell you what, the habits of his heart and what his heart is telling him, I don't know. I think his head, and it's just the timing just isn't there. He could jump. It's possible. Like I mentioned that last pod, but he's not going to get more money from Indiana. And you say, well, Ward's got to draw the line. Sure. It was pointed out that Mark Cuban, I don't know how involved, but Mark Cuban seems like he could be involved in everything. He just took, whatever, a couple billion from the Mavs, and, he's doing everything else. So, he's got a couple billion lying around. So, maybe Mark Cuban wants to make Dusty May the highest paid basketball coach in all of college basketball, like by $5 billion or something. I don't think Ward, they'll be like, Ward's got a match. He's got a number. And I don't think he's going cheap on it, but but it's really going to come down if he just wants to go. The other part that I would add to this is it's not like Dusty's the number one choice for IU. There's a number of home run hires that if they really are going to get like Mark Cuban money, they go to Jay Wright and say, Jay, you can have a different suit for every minute of the day for the next 100 years. And we'll give you the most money by $5 million, something crazy like that. That's what, they're hoping, like of the Brad Stevens and Jay Wright and all the, there's just the gigantic names out there. Even May from Baylor, I would put in front of of Dusty. But so they've got their wish list of where when you see the names, everybody's like, that's not going to happen. But once they go through all those guys' names, there's like 5 or 6 that I think are easily in front of Dusty May. At some point they do get to Dusty, and he would be looked at as a home run hire. So I don't know. They might have already come to Dusty, and Dusty may have already have put that one to bed. But that's it. Hoping that the wild card, then I put Sam Walters in that category, catches a heater come tournament time. Yeah, that would be nice. Yeah, you go through all of it. That's the thing. Is it all possible? Let's try it, Adam. Could Area 51 and Trey Donaldson be a problem for the rest of the season and into the tournament? The pick and roll, the positionless 5 and the Wolf of State Street. Could Golden be dominant in the tournament? Could Trey? Yes. I'm going to go yes on those 3. Could Burnett and Cheddar be solid pieces that like they have been all year long? Yes. Could the freshman and the wild card, you're saying Walters catches and goes on a heater come tournament time? Streaky shooter, streaky good. And they don't really need a whole lot from the Frosh if, that's going to be the case. But one of those guys stepping up for a solid 6 minutes here or there. And then could these guys play more like they did last game in the biggest game of the year than they have the entire season? Okay. All of it? They're going to need all of it if it's going to be, championship time. You could say that. Antoine saying it's happening. It's tilted that direction anyways. Yeah, like I said, I don't think that that's happening, that it's just going to be 2 teams, and that would be bad for college football. Bad for college football. Just having the Big Ten and SEC, don't want to see that. What's Ferris saying? He's saying go down by the airport near Costco. Check out that location. Much less money for a sandwich there. Is that where I go to the Roadhouse and then, the classic one that's right in downtown. Wasn't familiar with this one, but I did know that Ferris that there was a coffee like warehouse or something. And I'm a big coffee guy. So, and I like some of Zingerman's. I like actually their house coffee there, the Joe that they roll out. And I've heard about the coffee warehouse. Maybe that's the same one. Is it like maybe I have been there. Is it just like a kind of a bunch of like warehouses? You're going to drive over there and you pull up and you're like, hey, Zingerman's. Maybe that's it. Adam liked how Dusty subbed out Vlad early in the second half and confronted him. Once Vlad came back in, he was a different player. Good coaching. Yeah, Dusty right now seems like he is finely tuned with his team. The weird part about that last game, I don't know if this coincided with what you were talking about with Vlad coming out and him getting yelled at. It was wasn't like they had indicated that he had picked up a foul and then he didn't, and then Dusty had taken him out only to realize that they could put him back in. And I don't know, was he yelling at him about that foul? Was he yelling? And Vlad's like, however you say it with a Russian accent, no foul. I have to brush up on my Russian accents. What I won't do is go to Rounders. And this is not a very good Russian accent. KGB. Pay the man his money. It's not a Russian accent, but it's a good one, whatever the accent is. And it worked out. And it was a great movie. And I think, are they coming out with a Rounders too? Oh. As much as I was waiting around, what was it, the summer for some of these sequels? The Joker 2. Well, that ended up being a complete flop. Was it just a musical? I didn't even watch. Everybody's like, it's the worst thing ever. And then I didn't see Gladiator 2. I've blocked out I haven't really seen anybody say anything whether it was good. I've just blocked out all that because I believe that I will want to watch that one. But Rounders 2, that could be how could that miss if they're really going to do it? I don't think it can. I think it's an all-in double up type situation for sure. Well, that's going to do it for today's show. I'm going to see what's going on for Valentine's Day. I'm looking forward to the basketball game on Sunday. I'll be back here on Monday talking about the latest with Michigan football and basketball. I hope you join us then. Until then, everybody have a great weekend. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.